Good evening. My name's Nicholas Parker, and it's a privilege and a pleasure to be here this evening and to have heard the previous speakers. I hope I don't let them down. My job this evening is to talk to you about clean tech in the 2020s and how exponential technologies are going to enable us to have exponential impact. So nearly 20 years ago, I coined the term clean tech, actually on a canoe trip in Algonquin Park. And at that time, clean tech represented virtually no venture capital investments. Within about 5 years, clean tech became the largest single investment area for venture capitalists in the United States. And this proceeded through the 2000s. When we got to this past decade, the numbers started to go even higher. Whereas from 2005 to 2010, about $30 billion was invested in clean tech innovation by venture capitalists and so on. Just in the last 2 years, each year has seen over $30 billion invested in clean tech. And now about a third of all the deals are being done with corporations and other new capital providers. So we've had a lot of innovation, thousands of rounds of financing, and we now have a blueprint for what we need to do in the world, the so-called SDGs, the Global Goals for Sustainable Development. Most people see this as a public policy issue or a social issue. We see it as a business opportunity, a $15 to $20 trillion market opportunity between now and 2030, and that's without assuming a price on carbon and so on and so forth. McKinsey, the well-known consultancy, says just improving resource productivity and efficiency is a $4 trillion market opportunity. So we've got the innovation, we've got the business opportunity, but we're not getting there. And for those of us who've been at the Globe Conference this week, we know we have the solutions, but we have massive challenges. We're in the Anthropocene era, where we're now using 1.5 times the world's annual regenerative capacity. We're essentially liquidating planet Earth, but calling it income. If you're an accountant, you'll get that. And we're in ecological overshoot in so many other ways, including biological annihilation, as the IUCN would call it. So we've got exponential challenges. Climate change is simply a symptom of those challenges, and that requires us to have exponential solutions to those challenges. Many of us have taught our kids how to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but really we should have taught them how to count 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, and so on, so they understand not only credit card debt, but also the challenges of environmental degradation. And the good news is we have new tools in addition to the clean tech innovation that we've seen over the last 2 decades. We now have lean service models. We now have the circular economy concept, and we now have things like the sharing economy through platforms and so on. So what do we mean by all of this? What is the exponential stuff all about? Well, it's getting a lot of attention. Just a few weeks ago at the World Economic Forum, the World Economic Forum organizers, along with PwC, a consulting and accounting firm, issued the report that you can see on the screen behind me. The Ellen MacArthur Foundation, known for their work in circularity, recently came out with another report on the application of artificial intelligence to that. So what is all this exponential stuff about? Well, Singularity University has been very helpful in identifying the technologies and the business models arising from them that lead us into exponential change and exponential possibilities. Many of us know about artificial intelligence or machine learning, a subset of that. Some of us know about the Internet of Things or Internet of Everythings, and so on. We also have blockchain, which is somewhat affiliated with cryptocurrencies, but doesn't necessarily have to be, and so on and so forth. So if you just take AI and the circular economy, we have the ability to design things differently, the ability to develop new tools operationally, and to optimize how we use resources. So essentially, we can mimic nature, we can manage complexity, we can do radical resource efficiency, and as importantly, we can be transparent about what we're doing and who's doing what with whom. So in a way, the technology in itself is not the answer. It's the business models and the social models that arise from it. So, for example, we've had platforms, but we've realized so many of these platforms are actually flatforms because they don't take into account environmental and social considerations. So we need to have a more integrated, holistic approach. But the good news is there's thousands of new companies starting up around these concepts, coming out of places like MIT, the HULT Prize Initiative, the UN Unleash organization, and so on and so forth. And most of these initiatives are fueled by millennials who don't want to have impact. They don't want to just do things less badly. They actually believe and want to solve things. They want to get the job done. So I'll come back with a couple of examples of what that means and what it means to Canada. But where I'm seeing the most innovation is leapfrogging in the developing world. So the best example I have of this that relates to the audience perhaps here this evening is in the area of solar energy. When I first invested in solar energy 20 years ago and took a company public on NASDAQ, the stock exchange in the US, there was 0.5 gigawatt of solar installed worldwide. Well, meanwhile, prices have come down 80%, markets have grown over 50x, and now solar is a commodity. But it's the application of exponential technologies with cheap solar that is leading to all kinds of fantastic outcomes. 2 examples, and I come with a health warning because I'm invested in both these companies. One is in Nairobi, Kenya, called M-KOPA, that is taking what I call mobile payment systems and smart analytics and empowering people in rural areas of East Africa and beyond who've traditionally had to rely upon things like kerosene, which is dirty and dangerous and expensive. And now using mobile payment systems and cheap solar, they can provide people with the means to join the modern energy economy. In Cambodia and Southeast Asia, another company, Aqua Solar, started by young Australian data scientists originally from Bangladesh, is using machine learning and taking machine learning, cheap solar, combining it into something called microgrid as a service, and taking it to the 200 million households, 1 billion people who are off the electrical grid right now and can't join the modern economy. They've been trialing this for the last 2 years. It's working. I've seen it myself in rural Cambodia. And now we're moving on to figuring out how can we help people with create livelihoods and other benefits, health benefits, and so on. So we've got the tools. So what does it mean for Canada? In short, because I realize I'm out of time, we have to bring together the things that we're very good at, AI, blockchain, and so on, and integrate it into our strategies around the emerging clean economy. As you can see on the screen behind me, we've got some great companies from coast to coast, MindSense in this part of the world, Myovision, where I live in Toronto, and so on and so forth, in all kinds of different sectors and areas. This is our moment. I'm launching a new initiative called the Planet Exponential Impact Collaborative. Happy to chat with anybody and everybody after about this. I just say, possibilitarians of the world, unite. Thank you very much.